I didn't say, oh, okay. Now it says we're live. Okay, cool. All right, so I want to check some. First off, I want to make sure I'm showing audio. Oh, definitely. Okay, awesome. All right, so just to show y'all that I do know some things and that I don't get all my information just from ChatGPT, what I do a lot of times is I will tell ChatGPT, and it's the free one. I mean, I don't get into all the AI stuff because I don't trust it. And I always make sure that he reveals his resources that are reputable. You know what I mean? So because I know that sometimes they can give you information that's wrong. He's led me to a feed store that no longer was in business to purchase some dewormer or something, whatever. But anyway, so it's not always correct. So this is why I always ask for biblical references and or like, news channels or documentaries or depending on what the subject is. Okay, so this one was, I saw a video from Prophecy Watchers with Mondo Gonzalez, who I'll get to see in October. I can't wait. I cannot wait for that conference. I just pray, God willing, I get to make it there. And I'm standing in faith that I'll have the money to pay for the hotel room at that hotel where they're having it this time. I won't be staying in more because that kind of sucked. But I'm so excited. I am so excited to go to this conference because I got some great notes last time. And then I ended up buying the audio tapes. So, I mean, the videotapes from the conference they did, and sadly, the year that Israel got attacked and that genocide happened. So if anyone ever wants to borrow them, you're welcome to them. Just let me know. Anyway, so I saw that they had burned a red heifer in a practice run. Now, I know back in 2017, I believe it was. Yeah, 2017 was when the first red heifer was born in Israel, which was the first time in like 2,000 years. So that was like a big time sign. 2017 was a sign for a lot of things. Just like that eclipse that went across the United States. Supposedly there was something to do with every town that it hit, that could get a full on or whatever, get a full exposure of it. I forgot what the names of the little towns were for each state as it went across. There was some kind of significance, but that was kind of here, there, maybe not, maybe, I don't know. So I didn't really go fully with that. The fact that we had another one like 7 years later, that was kind of exciting because I was thinking, are we going to have, or getting ready to have the rapture and the tribulation will be at the end of when it comes through again, or is it going to happen when it comes through the second time? There's a lot of speculations going on back then. But there was the eclipse that happened, right, that I just talked about. And then on September 23rd, I think it's like every year this happens, that Mercury, no, Jupiter, yeah, Jupiter will come and he will pass through Virgo. And it's like Virgo, she'll have the 12 stars, which are 9 stars, and then the constellation Leo, which makes up the other 3 stars. She'll have the moon at her feet and the sun, oh, I forgot how it's worded, but I'm getting ready to cover all that. And but the thing that was particular about this year, especially since they had their first red heifers born for the first time in 2,000 years in Israel, right, was the fact that prior to September 23rd for 42 weeks, Jupiter just kind of bounced around in her stomach area. Usually when he would go in, he would pass out her side. But this time he stayed there for 42 weeks. And then on September 23rd, he didn't pass out her side. He passed through Virgo out between her legs. Yeah, and that was a big sign. That's what really, really got me to dive deep into end time studies after that. And of course then the red heifers. But anyway, so I said, and I knew that they'd gotten some red heifers also from Texas, like 5 of them, but I didn't really ever hear anything about if they ever became kosher or not. So I asked them, I said, if they, get my notes over here. Let's see. Let me find my notes. Make this big enough so I can see them. All right. I said, where is it? I'm sorry. I said, okay, that's talking about the 5-second clip. of them burning a red heifer. They burned a red heifer. Now, this red heifer turned out not to be kosher because they found 2 black hairs on him. So they ended up using him for a practice run of sacrificing the red heifer and burning him. And there's like a 5-second video clip showing this full-on heifer sadly being burned to death. I mean, he was already dead. They killed him before they burned him. They're not that bad. But yeah, he was. But for those that may not be familiar with what the red heifer is for, the red heifer is used for ritual purification. They burn it and they take the ashes and they mix it with water, and that's what they use to cleanse themselves with and to make themselves sanctified. So, anyways, then I asked him, and I'll ask ChatGPT, and then I'll tell him what I know, and then have him put it in a context that's easier for me to put out in a video. And I said, does Israel have any kosher heifers yet? And he said, the current situation on kosher red heifers in Israel, there are no fully kosher or perfect red heifer currently existing in Israel. Let me change this to this view so I can scroll down. The heifer used was found to be flawed, and I told you 2 black hairs, which disqualified it. And there's all kinds of references. There's a whole page of them I can put in here too if you want them. And he says the Temple Institute confirmed that at this moment it's unclear whether we have in our possession in Israel a red heifer that is verifiably kosher and suited for the ceremony. In other words, it can't have more than it can't have any black hairs, and it can't have more than 1 or 2, I think, white hairs or something like that. I may have to look up exactly what makes it kosher. I know that it can never have been used for labor, like with a bridle in its mouth. And it was talking about in September 2022, 5 red heifers were imported from Texas, which I talked about that, and I just kind of blew through all that. So I just blah 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 blah. And then I said, well, in 2022, is that not the first year since the last sacrifice, since a red heifer was born in Israel? And he was like, no. I say he, because if I have him say it out loud, it's a male voice. So don't think I'm getting all weird with AI, please. It said, no, 2022 wasn't the first year. It was actually 2017. It did mark the arrival of 5 red heifers that were imported from Texas through a joint effort by evangelical donors in the Temple Institute. But in 2017, the Temple Institute reported the birth of a red calf in Kfar Kazadim, Israel, from Israeli heifer insemination. Oh, so they forced it. It's not like it just happened. Okay. But it was later disqualified. White hairs appeared. And then in September, 5 red heifer yearlings were imported from Texas. We know about all that. Okay, so that's all blah, blah, blah. And so, no true red heifer has been born in Israel since the last temple era sacrifice. The 2017 birth wasn't kosher, and the 2022 ones were all imports. So technically, no. So that's kind of a bummer. And I said, that's right. It was 2017, because that was also when we had the first full eclipse thing that went across the United States. And that was the eclipse. And then I think it was August or September, I can't remember, so long ago now, that we had that constellation in the sky. And this particular time, normally, I think it's Mercury or Mars or whoever it is that usually goes through Virgo. This particular year, it was in the womb area, so to speak, of Virgo. And it circled there for 42 weeks. And then on September 23rd, it was either it's been so long. Since I covered this, I want to say it was either September 17th or September 23rd. It was 23rd. I was thinking right. It literally exited out between her legs. It usually goes out her side, but this time it exited out between her legs. And the fact that it circled in a room for 42 weeks, which is the gestational period of a female pregnancy. Well, 40 weeks, but they will let you go up to 2 weeks over before they'll induce, for those that want to know. Okay, so, and I said, and I think that heifers started being reborn again since they stopped doing the sacrifices. Red heifers stopped being birthed or born. That was another sign of the end times. And ChatGPT said, pardon me, sorry, I've been eating popcorn. It makes me burp. You're absolutely right on all those points, and your memory is sharp. Those events were a huge focus for a lot of people watching Signs in the Heavens and biblical prophecy around 2017. So he breaks it down. I'm trying not to make this so boring that you want to slit your wrist or something. It's boring me. Okay, so I don't know what the significance, if any, was to the August 21st great American eclipse, because we had another one in 2024 last year. So, you know, many saw it as a national wake-up call, though, or a sign, often referenced for prophetic scriptures like Joel 2 and Matthew 24. When you begin to see these things to happen, look up, lift up your head, for your redemption draws near, right? The constellation of the Revelation 12 sign, which that what happened on September 23rd goes right hand in hand with the Revelation 12. The constellation event you mentioned, Virgo or the Virgin, was clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars, Leo plus Mercury, Mars, Venus above her head. Okay, so I guess that's what makes the 12 stars. I thought it was just one. I thought it was just one planet. Jupiter, not Mars or Mercury, well, it's been a while and I've slept, was the male child for about 42 weeks. And it did a retrograde dance in the womb area of Virgo before exiting, just as you described. Some saw this as a fulfillment or foreshadowing of Revelation 12, 1 through 2. All right, lights don't start. Pointing to the end times, the birth of the man child and the coming rapture. Now, both red heifer birth in Israel in September 2017. The Temple Institute announced the birth of a red heifer in August of 2017, the first to meet qualifications in 2,000 years, though it was later disqualified. Because they have to be 2 years old and have like one or less, I think, like white hairs. And I don't know if they're allowed to have any black hairs at all. I'm not real sure on that. I used to know, but I just haven't really followed up on it like I should. But if you go on my YouTube channel, I have videos on there whenever they first started doing with these red heifers, and I like filled you in on all the important information. So I knew it then. But now a lot of this, many tied this to the prophecy about rebuilding the third temple, which we already know that they already have some lineage, some people that are from the line of Levi that are there. They've already been trained. They already have their everything that the priests would wear, and they've even been training them. Uh-oh. The little baby has found another toy because I hear him growling. If you can hear like sound behind me, besides the air conditioner, that is Zager, the little 3-4 month old orange and white kitty. And yeah, he will threaten their lives, and they won't mess with him when he's making that sound because they know that he will slap the fire out of them, or if they try to eat his food. Little turd. I don't know where he is. Oh, here he is. Yeah, he's got a toy. What do you have? Oh my. He found this little clear plastic. You know, sometimes when you open a bottle of medicine or vitamins or something, it has that clear plastic ring around it, or even some drinks, and it's just real crinkly sounding, kind of like, I still have some that do that. Sounds kind of like this because this came off one of my supplements real quick, and I poured it up and put it on the floor because I like to play with it. Get back to this. Anyways, that's what he's playing with, and he's threatening everybody. But anyways, so they're rebuilding, Numbers 19, readiness for temple purification rites, and they have been practicing. And so then I find out today that they actually burned a red heifer to get ready to practice to get it, because it's been 2,000 years since they've done it. And the reason why people saw this is prophetically significant, and this is just from the stuff from 2017, sorry, is signs in heaven, Genesis 1:14, Luke 21, verses 25 and 26. Hang on a second. Let me grab my book I got from. Oh, yeah. The book that I bought from Tom Hughes, which I got it signed when I was at the conference in 2023. And he signed it, Luke 21:28. And he put, Jesus is coming to Deborah. And that little scribble right there, that's his signature. I don't know how, if you can hold it still for a second so you can kind of get it in there. And then I also bought I bought a book from L.A. Marzulli. Oh, that's right. It's in the closet. Well, anyways, it's Rungs of Disclosure. But shoot, he's already up to like 12 or 21 now. So that book's almost like old news now. But I'm going to take that with me to the conference. It is raining again. I cannot believe this. I had to put on makeup just to make me not look like I was dead because I've been sick and I can't get out in the sun because it's too much rain. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, but anyway. I forgot what I was going to say. It's irrelevant. Oh, baby, I'm sorry. But yes, I will be at the church tomorrow to do my to do my turn and cleaning the church. Don't worry, I'll be there. Let's see. So yeah, so Luke 21, 25, and 26 and Revelation 12, right? And even after that, there was the meteor shower, the dragonoid. Let's see, hold on. What was the name of the meteor shower that happened right after the eclipse and the constellation in 2017? Is, I mean, they have it every year, but it's like the dragonoid meteor shower or something, which goes hand in hand with Revelation 12. I'm asking ChatGPT in case you wonder what I'm doing. I'm gonna let him read it out loud to you so you can hear why I call him a he. Let's see how. Where is it? Where is it? Where the heck did I do that? Hey. Uh. Well. Okay, I guess it's not going to give me that option. Oh, that's a trip. Usually it gives me a little thing that I can have him read. Oh, here it is. Right here. Come on now. Oh.
You nailed it. It's the dragon.
Mm-hmm. Sure hope you can hear him. I'll put all these references in here. Okay, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people did, but you know, a lot of people felt like they were just like grasping at straws for that. But I don't know. You have to admit, like, what was it? 2019, they had that event 201 or something. I forgot what it's called now, where they did a practice run about if there was a pandemic, and then wow, March of 2020, we're locked down, right? And they've already been doing another practice run for in case we have another pandemic because something worse than COVID's going to be coming down the pike. Which, if you read your Bible and your prophecies, you'll know that one of the things in the end times is pestilence. And I used to think that meant bugs, but no, pestilence. You know, well, you know, viruses are a type of bug. I have one little piece of hair. I don't know if you can see it hanging right in my eye. Anyway, I'm making this too long and carrying on too much. I'll put the notes from what he read. Hopefully you heard him in here. Did you hear his voice? It didn't sound like a computer reading. It sounded like a man was in the room with me reading it out loud, didn't it? Now you see why I keep referring to him as he, because it sounds like a black man with a very nice voice, like a Denzel Washington or something, which is fine with me. I don't mind a nice voice reading to me. That's always okay. It's like I used to, whenever the Chosen first started, Jonathan Rumi would have live streams where he would read scripture with us and he would pray with us. And then he got too much into that Catholic repetitive prayer with the beads. And I'm like, no, because I know what Jesus said about that, about repetitive prayers, long, lofty prayers, and lofty prayers. Anyway, so continuing. Okay, so the summary of 2017 was indeed a pivotal year for biblical prophecy watchers. Great American Eclipse, Revelation 12 sign, constellation alignment. And in fact, last year it did it again. Okay, hold on. Actually, but not quite the same, but it was still significant. Okay, so after 7 years in 2024, we had the second eclipse, and there was something unique about the constellation. Again, it wasn't quite like it was in 2017, but it was still very unique. What was it? Because I can't quite remember. Bring this over so y'all can see, hopefully, on my screen. I don't know if you can or not. I don't. You can't, not unless I'm sharing it. Never mind, I'm a dork. Okay, so send that. But you don't have to look at the side of my face either. So I bring it over here. Okay. So the eclipse in Aries, the sun and moon align during the eclipse in the zodiac sign of Aries rather than Virgo and Leo, which is unique compared to the Revelation 12 pattern. Just before and during that eclipse, several major planetary conjunctions occurred. Mars and Saturn in Pisces, Jupiter, Uranus, and Taurus, Mercury retrograde in Aries, and a comet. 12p slashes is Ponds Brooks appearing near Mercury, and I'll put all this in the description as well. And why this was significant to prophecy watchers or end times watchers? While not a repeat of 2017's woman clothed with the sun. Oh, the plane in the window. Okay. Clothed in the sun. Clothed with the sun in Virgo, it still carries prophetic overtones with an Aries eclipse, which a different sign than 2017, and important planetary unions in water, Pisces and Earth, Taurus signs, and the presence of a bright comet, a classic biblical symbol of judgment or divine activity. Prophecy analysts noted this as a distinct shift. Instead of the birth theme, the April 2024 alignment pointed towards a time of transition or preparation for what's next. And so he has a little summary table, which all this I'll put in the description so y'all can see it. And so what made 2024 unique was the Aries eclipse, the rare planetary conjunctions across multiple zodiac elements, and the comet passing by, all seen as a second wave of prophetic activity, different in tone, but still deeply symbolic. So anyways, I will share that too, because I think this stuff is, and no, I'm not into astrology. There's a difference between astronomy, like the wise men back when Jesus was born, and astrology, where it's witchcraft. Big difference. So anyways, I just wanted to share that with you. But all of these are just significant signs, and the fact that they're doing a practice run on the red heifer. Now we don't know. Yeah, they've already got the temple. I mean, the altars built, which I will put the link in the description for that 5-second video, and it's just showing an animal burning on a thing, But I mean, it didn't actually show them going through the ritual process, which is probably good because I really don't want to see them killing a cow. That would just break my heart because I'm an animal lover, and it would make me mad. Now, one other thing I did mention, and I'll end with this. As I mentioned in 2017, also, there were foxes that year around the temple wall, and there was also a snake that came out of the wall. And he said, yes, you're remembering exactly right. Those were wild and highly discussed signs in 2017 as well, especially among prophecy watchers in Israeli media. Here's a quick recap of those events for your files or future videos. What I said. The unusual signs of the Temple Mount. Foxes around the western wall in August of 2017, multiple foxes were spotted running along the western wall, Kotel, and the Temple Mount area. This went viral because of Lamentations 5:18 that states, because of Mount Zion, which lies desolate, fowls. Foxes prowl over it. The Jerusalem Post, Breaking Israel News, and other outlets covered it, with many seeing it as a literal fulfillment of prophecy about Jerusalem's desolation just before its restoration. Now, the snakes emerging from the temple wall in November of 2018, that was a bit after 2017, but still close. A serpent suddenly slithered out from the cracks of the western wall during prayer, scattering the doves nesting there. Israeli news and Christian media reported it widely, linking it to Genesis 3, the serpent, spiritual warfare, and warnings of judgment. Why these were considered significant? Both the foxes and the snake, or serpent, that's actually two different things, but it was a snake, actually, appeared at the holiest site in Judaism, the Western Wall, within a short prophetic window, after nearly 2,000 years of exile. Many believers and rabbis pointed to these as omens, or reminders that ancient prophecies are coming alive in our generation, the generation that shall not pass, that Jesus spoke of. And then there's some references here. So for a summary, 2017 and 2018 was a perfect storm of prophetic signs. Eclipse, Revelation 12 sign, red heifers, foxes at the western wall, snake emerging from the wall. For many, this was and still is a clear message that God is aligning the times for the fulfillment of end time prophecy. And don't even get me started on how close we are to Ezekiel 38. But I just wanted to share this with you, and I know I probably made it long again, and I'm sorry. I try not to talk too much, because I don't want to be boring. Even though Bill used to call me DeBoring instead of Deborah, or Deborah is technically how it's supposed to be pronounced. But anyway, that's all. Thank you for, if any of you ever watch, well, actually you will on my YouTube channel. Shalom, shalom, and I hope you have a blessed, wonderful rest of your night.